Hey y'all, I'm Kaylee. I'm a realtor in Metro Atlanta, breaking down my home buyer guide step by step so that when you're ready to start building equity, you'll be educated and prepared. Step number 5 in the home buying process is touring available homes for sale. Now that you've chosen some properties to view and your realtor has scheduled some showings, it's time to actually go see the properties in person. This is definitely the funnest part of the whole process, but there are a couple of rules to kind of keep in mind. If you are viewing a property that is owner occupied and it is not vacant, otherwise the sellers are still living in the home, you want to be respectful of their space and their time. The other thing to keep in mind is that if it is owner occupied, it will likely have cameras, especially, Ring video doorbell cameras are very popular. And it's likely if they have a video doorbell camera that they may have cameras in other parts of the property. So just keep that in mind when you are talking about the house. Don't say anything disrespectful, as there is a good chance that the sellers are watching and listening. I would recommend only bringing people who are necessary to the purchase of the home to the actual showing. And keep in mind, if you are bringing children to the showing, you want to make sure we are keeping that respectful element to the showings. If you have scheduled an entire day of showings, it can be really fun, but it can actually be pretty exhausting. You can be driving a lot. I would definitely recommend that you bring some snacks along with you, some waters, because you might not have time to stop and get something to eat. And if you are going to want to schedule that time, make sure your realtor is aware of it so that everybody's on the same page and you're making the best use of everybody's time. It is a bit of an older practice for everybody to get into the realtor's car and the realtor will drive everybody around. Especially since COVID, it's not that popular. Now, when I'm showing properties, the biggest thing that I'm looking for is feedback, and I'll kind of analyze my clients as we walk through multiple properties to see what really they are mentioning that they might not realize they're mentioning, and if so, they're talking about one thing that is really important to them, and I'm seeing that they're actually mentioning something else with every property, whether it's good or bad. I'll kind of bring it to their attention that, hey, that this is actually really important because you keep mentioning it. I will also have my clients, after we started viewing multiple properties, start to rank them. I'll keep track of everything and I will rank everything as we go along throughout the day, and I'll keep track of the top 3 properties. And so at the end, if we see 5, I usually don't like seeing more than 5 properties in one day. It can get confusing and really tiring. But once we get our top 3 properties, we'll really sit down and discuss how we would like to move forward. I always want to give my clients something to remember the property by. So I usually print off the MLS listing so they can see all the information about the property. And then what I will also do is I will take a look at the house history, when it was last purchased, the taxes, how long the current owner has owned it, comparable properties, what's on the market and what has sold recently in the area to get an idea of how the pricing is. Those types of things can say a lot about a property. I will also print off any other documents that may be relevant to the contract. So things to keep in mind are HOA documents or a community association disclosure, a lead-based paint disclosure. So if the property was built before 1978, the seller must provide a lead-based paint disclosure saying if they are aware of any lead-based paint within the property. Hopefully they will also submit a seller's disclosure, so that will list off any of the major components, how old the roof is, how old any of the major systems are, stuff like that. Now keep in mind that I am in the state of Georgia and every state is going to be different. Your agent will help you narrow down the preferred properties that you toured and prepare an offer, hopefully, for one of those properties. Ultimately, we want to make sure we are making the best use of everybody's time and respecting the seller's property. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. I'm always happy to help. You can find a link to download my exclusive home buyer guide on my website down below. Be sure to subscribe and follow along to keep learning about the home buying process.